Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and in today's video we're going to be looking at every character that has appeared in every My Academia game. So basically we're going to be looking at every character that has a moveset and can be played online. So basically we're not covering every enemy character, we're not covering every NPC character, we're not covering every support card character, and we're not covering every story mode exclusive characters. We're just covering every single character that has appeared in an online roster with a moveset and their variations. And then on top of that, for the My Academia games, we're only covering the global My Academia games. There's no Japan exclusive games or anything like that. So yeah, that is the parameters for this spreadsheet I've created here. And the reason why I'm doing this is because with My Hero Ultra Rumble coming out soon, I wanted to take a look at every past character and their different variations from each of the My Academia games that came before My Hero Ultra Rumble, and maybe guess who might be on the base roster, because the game isn't officially out yet as of this recording, so we don't know who is on the official base roster yet. They might add some new characters from the last beta, or they might just keep it the same from the last beta. But you know, even if they don't add any new characters on the beta, we might be able to guess who might get added later down the line with DLC and stuff like that, because of how popular certain characters might be, you know, based on their past inclusions from certain games, if that makes any sense. So that's the reason why we're looking at every character, and also it's just kind of fun to see, you know, how many characters have been included and then how many different variations that character got. And also apologies if you just heard that thunder, because it is raining very hard right now where I live. But yeah, so that's the reason why we're doing this video. And yeah, so let's just dive into it, because as you can see here, we have a very large spreadsheet, because there have been many My Academia characters that have been introduced in many different My Academia games. So yeah, let's just start at the top, and then I'll explain how this spreadsheet is laid out. So here we go. So the first kind of column here, we have the actual character in their most updated look from the My Academia anime. So we have Vigilante Deku. He's the most updated look from the series. Then we have the character's name, and then I have the character's variation split up between you know, the logo of which game they come from. So for example, we have My Hero 1 Justice, and in My Hero 1 Justice, Deku had two different variations. He had base Deku and shoot style Deku. Shoot style Deku was actually a, oh, that was some big thunder. He was actually a pre-order DLC character, which is pretty cool. And then obviously the difference is, you can tell, you know, shoot style has his you know, boots and updated gloves, and you can tell where base Deku only has his red sneakers, and you know, the gloves are the old gloves and stuff like that. And also base Deku likes to use punches in the game, where shoot style likes to use kicks. That's what makes them different. And then moving over to My Hero 1 Justice 2, we have base Deku in an updated kind of model look, but shoot style didn't get an updated model look, at least not from what I can find. I couldn't find any updated model for shoot style, but I guess that makes sense, seeing that he was DLC, one of the only 3 DLC for My Hero 1 Justice, so I can see why they might not have updated his model. And then we also have Infinite 100% Deku here, which is pretty cool. And actually, Infinite 100% Deku has a different variation in the My Hero 1 Justice 2 story mode. He actually has Infinite 100% Deku and Eri on his back, so that makes it a story mode exclusive character. And yeah, that's also the reason why that character is not on this list, because that character is not currently playable online, but Infinite 100% Deku is, so that's why he's on the list. Moving over to the first My Academia mobile game that's been released globally, we have My Academia The Strongest Hero. And Deku actually got 2 variations in this game. We have Deku in his shoot style gear, but funny enough, he actually is kind of a combined. He's like a combination between base Deku and shoot style Deku for My Hero 1 Justice 2, because he actually uses kicks and his punches. So he was actually a pretty cool Deku. He was like a combination Deku. And then we have World Hero Mission Deku, who was released with the World Hero Mission event when, you know, obviously World Hero Missions came out. And I believe he is the first Deku who actually had the Quirk Black Whip included in his moveset, which is actually pretty unique and pretty cool. And also, he's just a really neat Deku. Man, that thunder's hitting hard. I'm sorry if you can hear that. Alrighty, moving over to My Hero Ultra Impact. We have actually a lot of different variations of Deku in this game. So we have his rare variations, Gym Deku and School Deku. And then we have his, you know, SR variations, Cooking Deku, just an SR Deku, and then an SR Black Whip Deku from the latest season of the My Academia anime, because you can tell because it's coiled around his arm, which is pretty cool. Also, I really like that artwork. I really love My Hero Academia Ultra Impact's artwork. It's really nice. Then going over to his URs, we have Base Deku. You can tell because of the gloves and the sneakers. Then we also have Shoot Style because he's going in for a kick, but also because he has his updated Shoot Style boots and the new gloves. Then we also have Air Force Deku. This is the first Air Force Deku that was ever released. You can tell because of the difference in the gloves. He actually has his Air Force gauntlets, because the Air Force gauntlets, if you can't tell from this artwork, have like this kind of like cylinder piece around it, but also the inside of the gloves are like a green color, where Shoot Styles isn't, so that's how you can tell the difference. And then this is a second Air Force Deku. I thought this was a Shoot Style Deku at first, because it looks like the artwork when he was fighting Overhaul, but if you actually look very carefully, he's wearing his Air Force gauntlets, so this is actually an Air Force Deku, and I don't know where this actually comes from, but in my mind, what this is it's like a combination Deku, like how Strongest Hero combined Base Deku and Shoot Style Deku. I feel like this combines Base Deku, Shoot Style, and Air Force into one, but it takes inspiration off of the Overhaul fight artwork, so I think that's pretty cool. Then we have Black Whip Deku, like it's just a standalone Black Whip Deku, no like World Hero mission attached to it, it's just Black Whip Deku, which is pretty cool. And it's based off of the joint training arc, because he's like losing control, like he's grabbing his arm and stuff like that, and it looks like Black Whip is trying to like, you know, go everywhere and stuff like that, which is pretty neat. Then we have Vigilante Deku walking through the rain, which is just some sick artwork. I love Vigilante Deku artwork in this game. It looks very nice. Then we have World Hero Mission Deku. He actually got a unit in this game as well. And he actually got a second variation in the latest event right now going on with World Hero Mission Deku and Rhodey, which is actually really cool. And then we have Fantasy Deku, which was based off of the ending in Season 2. And then we have Celebration Deku, which was based off of some artwork. And then we have Yukata Deku and New Year's Deku, which is pretty cool. And then moving over to My Hero Ultra Rumble, we have this Deku right here. This is what his character model looks like in the game. I couldn't find the actual model yet because I don't think it's been fully released yet because the game isn't fully out yet. But this is what he will look like in the game. He has his Air Force gauntlets, his Shoot Style boots, and yeah. So going over his stats, My Hero 1 just 2 different variations, My Hero 1 just 2, 3 different variations, My Academia the Strongest Hero 2 different variations, Ultra Impact 17 different variations, and Ultra Rumble 1 different variation, and then his total is 25 different variations of Deku have appeared in the 5 different My Academia games. So that's basically how the spreadsheet is broken down. I'm not going to read that every single time because you can just read it yourself, and also it would take forever. And also we're going to be looking at them, so yeah. Moving down to our next character, we have Bakugo in his updated look, which hasn't really changed that much because, you know, he really doesn't go through different costume changes. My Hero 1 Justice and My Hero 1 Justice 2, he basically only had 1 different variation. Yeah, it was just 1 Bakugo and 1 Bakugo, and yeah, they were pretty cool. Going over My Academia the Strongest Hero, he actually got 2 different variations. We have, you know, normal Bakugo and World Hero Mission Bakugo. Ultra Impact, we have his rares. He got a gym outfit and a school outfit and a cooking outfit. And then we have his just normal hero outfit. And I believe actually this one doesn't have his mask on. So just like the artwork, his actual in-game model doesn't have the mask on. Then we have our UR Bakugos. We have just UR Bakugo, but unlike the artwork, I also believe this one doesn't have his mask on either, even though the artwork includes the mask, which is pretty interesting. Then we have like a battle damage version Bakugo from the latest season of the My Academia anime when they were fighting Shigaraki, who has like also All for One and stuff like that. So that's what this is based off of, and this one actually does have the mask on, but he is battle damaged, so he's got like scars and stuff like that all over him. Then we have our Winter Bakugos. There have been 2 different variations. This one is the full outfit, so like he has gauntlets and stuff like that, where this one in the artwork, it's really interesting because it's a complete flip from his model. So in game, he actually has his gauntlets and no mask, but the artwork has no gauntlets and a mask. So it's like a flip, which is really interesting. But yeah, just a different variation of Winter Bakugo. Then we have World Hero Mission Bakugo, just like Deku, he got a World Hero Mission unit. And then we have Fantasy Bakugo right there as well. And then we have Ultra Rumble Bakugo, who looks just like how every other Bakugo usually does in his hero costume. And there are the stats right there, so you can look at that real quick. Alrighty, moving on to Uraraka. Here's her updated look. My Hero 1 Justice and My Hero 1 Justice 2 only had one, variation of Uraraka in the game, just like Bakugo. And yeah, moving on to Macadamia, the strongest hero, just one variation. She didn't have her helmet on in the game. Even though these two have the no helmet look, they actually have their helmets in game that can be knocked off. But this one, Macadamia, the strongest hero, she didn't have her helmet. It was just her without her helmet, which is pretty interesting. Actually, also real fast, another thing, in one of the Macadamia, the strongest hero story modes, I believe she actually had her helmet on, but she wasn't a playable character. She was just kind of like walking around as like an NPC. So it was kind of interesting that they did include her helmet, but yeah. Ultra Impact, she got a gym uniform, she got a school uniform, and a cooking, outfit and stuff like that. And then we have her SR, just normal hero costume, or actually that's her old hero costume because she has the old helmet. She actually got two. This one in game actually has the helmet on, where this one doesn't. I don't know why the artwork included the helmet if it wasn't going to have the helmet on, but yeah, so this one doesn't have the helmet in game, this one does have the helmet in game. Then we actually have her new updated costume. This is an SR unit as well. And then she actually got another one where it shows like her wires and stuff like that, which is pretty cool. And I believe this is also based off of Season 6, which is pretty neat. Then we have a cheerleader version of Uraraka. It's also an SR unit. And then we have her URs. This one is pretty accurate because it doesn't have the helmet on. And then we have Fantasy Uraraka and Celebration Uraraka based off of that same artwork that Celebration Deku was based off of. And then we have like a beach Uraraka as well, which is pretty cool. I like the water gun. It's a pretty neat inclusion, and I also love the colors on it. It's pretty cool. Then we have Ultra Rumble, and here's Uraraka in her look. She actually doesn't have her new helmet on, but it's weird because from what I can tell, she actually has her wires. So it's kind of like a hybrid between her old costume and new costume, where the helmet is in the new helmet, but she has her like new gauntlets that have like the wires in it, which is pretty interesting. And then here are her stats. You can pause it if you want to take a look at it. Alrighty, going over Ida. Here's his updated look. Just like Uraraka and Bakugo, Ida has one variation in My Hero 1 Justice and one variation in My Hero 1 Justice 2. Also, Ida has his helmet on in the game, but the artwork just doesn't have the helmet on for whatever reason. And just like Uraraka, you knock the helmet off, which is pretty cool. Strongest hero, here's Ida. He didn't have his helmet on, which is pretty interesting. So yeah, that's how Ida looks in the game. Ultra Impact, gym uniform, school uniform, cooking uniform, just yep. And then we have SR Ida without his helmet on. And I believe this is based off of Season 6, and I believe this model Ida in the game has like his new mufflers from the Joint Training arc. So you can't tell in this artwork, but I believe the model actually has his updated mufflers, where this one doesn't. It has his old mufflers that are like a lot smaller. And even though the helmet is on in this artwork and it looks really cool, he doesn't have his helmet on in the actual model, which is a reoccurring thing in Ultra Impact, where the artwork isn't the exact same compared to the model, which is pretty interesting. And also it's interesting because in the campaign in Macadamia Ultra Impact, there is a enemy type where Ida has his helmet on, so it's pretty interesting how they didn't include that. But yeah, then we have a I'm trying to remember if this was a New Year's Ida or a Yukata Ida. Actually, I think this is a New Year's Ida. So yeah, and then we have his UR variations. This one is really cool. It's like his helmet is being broken off, but again, the in-game model didn't have any variation of helmet on, so it was just a normal Ida. But I love the artwork where the helmet is being broken off. That's really unique. Then we have Fantasy Ida based on his like Season 2 ending appearance. And then we have Ultra Rumble where, he's in his full hero costume, and here's his stats. Alrighty. Todoroki. One variation in both My Hero 1 Justice and My Hero 1 Justice 2, just like the other characters. Then we have Strongest Hero where he has, this look. This is his second variation of his hero costume. You can tell because he doesn't have the brown bracelets on. He has just his new jumpsuit on. And then we have his World Hero Mission variation as well. So yeah, he got one as well, just like Bakugo and Deku, which makes sense. Ultra Impact, gym outfit, school outfit, cooking outfit. Then we have his SR variation, pretty cool. He's got like ice going around him. And then we have this SR variation, which is really cool. It's based off of Season 5 when they were battling Ending, where he's kind of like in his half hero costume, half school uniform, which is really sweet looking. Then we have his UR variations, one really dedicated to ice, one really dedicated to fire. And then we also have like a combination one, actually 2 different combination ones. To be honest with you, I don't know why Todoroki has like 2 combo kind of like UR characters. I get one dedicated to ice, I get one dedicated to fire, and then I get one that's like a combination of both ice and fire, but I don't get having 2 of them. But I mean, hey, it's cool that we have 2 of them, I guess. It doesn't hurt. Then we have World Hero Mission Todoroki and Fantasy Todoroki, and this is a new character that just was released. It's a Yukata Todoroki, and then we have New Year's Todoroki, which is pretty cool. Then we have his look in Ultra Rumble. This is his 3rd hero costume where it actually has the brown bracelets on and stuff like that, which is pretty cool. And there are his stats. Alrighty. Asui. 1 in My Hero 1 Justice, 1 in My Hero 1 Justice 2. Yep. And then we have Strongest Hero. She only has 1 in that game as well. And she is in her full hero costume, like she has like the binoculars and stuff like that, which is pretty sweet. Ultra Impact. Gym uniform, school uniform, but no cooking uniform, which is actually pretty interesting. I'm surprised she didn't get one, but yeah. But she has an SR hero costume one, and actually a SR hero costume like winter variation as well. You can tell it's the winter costume because of the updated binoculars and also the kind of like heating pad around her neck, which is pretty cool. Then we have a Yukata Asui, and then we have her UR characters. Funny enough, she doesn't have a UR normal like hero costume variation. She has a UR winter hero costume variation. Like that's the only UR Asui hero costume variation, which is pretty interesting, but it's still cool. Then we have Fantasy Asui, and then we have a Christmas Asui as well, which is pretty cool. And then Ultra Rumble. This is what she's gonna look like in game. You know, her model is just her hero costume. And then we also have her stats as well. Already going over Mineta. He wasn't in My Hero 1 Justice. He was actually introduced in My Hero 1 Justice 2. So that's why there's only one. Like, there's no My Hero 1 Justice here because he's not in that game. Strongest Hero. This is what he looks like in game. And then we have Ultra Impact, where he has a gym uniform, a school uniform, and a cooking uniform. So, yeah. Going over his SR variations, we have his normal hero costume, or not his normal one, that's his old hero costume, and then we have his new hero costume with the inclusion of the stem, which is pretty cool. And he doesn't have any UR variations in the game yet, which is pretty interesting, but yeah. And then going over his stats, here they are. Yeah. Going over Kirishima, we have his OJ1 look, where he's in his old hero costume, and then OJ2 updated him into his new hero costume. Strongest Hero, old hero costume. You can tell like it's the old hero costume because he doesn't have the sleeves. Then we also have Ultra Impact. He has a gym uniform, a school uniform, and a cooking uniform. Then we have his SR units. This one, I believe, doesn't have the mask, or it might actually. I'm not 100% sure because Kirishima has like a ton of SR units. Like these 4 are all SR units. So I can't really remember if this one had the mask on or not, like on like the model. But the artwork, as you can tell, doesn't have the mask on, but the other ones do. And then we have another SR Kirishima, but this one is in his Yukata uniform. And I like how he also has like Crimson Riot as like a mask on him. I think that's really cool. Then we have his UR variations, which are really sweet. We have his normal, UR Kirishima variation. Then we have Red Riot Unbreakable. This is the first game that actually included Red Riot Unbreakable, which is pretty sweet. I actually love that artwork. Then we have Fantasy Kirishima. And then there are his stats. Alrighty, Yaoyorozu. 1 in OJ1, and 1 in OJ2. And then 1 in Strongest Hero. And then, gym, school, cooking. And then we have, her SR variations. She actually has multiple. These 2 are just in her normal hero costume, but this one's in her winter hero costume, which is pretty sweet. You can tell because she has the cape. Then we have another SR Yayorozu. It's a beach Yayorozu as well. You can tell because, you know, the beach chair and the sun. And then we have her normal UR variation, and then her cheerleader UR variation, which is pretty interesting. And then there are her stats. Tokiyami, one variation in OJ1, one variation in OJ2, and then one in Strongest Hero. And then he has a gym uniform and a school uniform, no cooking variation. And then he has his normal SR unit. And then we have his UR variation, which is based off of Black Fallen Angel, his ultimate move where he can fly with Dark Shadow, which is pretty sweet. And then there are his stats. Honestly, I'm very surprised that he only has 7 different variations. Like, it's pretty surprising. Going over Kaminari, one in OJ1, and then one in OJ2, and one in the Strongest Hero. OJ1 and the Strongest Hero have him in his old hero costume where, you know, he doesn't have the pointer and shooter. He has the kind of like transmitter though, which is pretty cool. No glasses and no updated jacket or pants or anything like that, you can tell. He actually, I think, has like the most different kind of like first to second hero costumes compared to like most of the other Class 1A students, which is pretty interesting. Ultra Impact, gym, school, cooking, and then just like Kirishima, he has just a ton of SR variations. This is an SR, this is an SR, this is an SR, and I believe they all look the same. Yeah, I mean, there's not really much you can do with Kaminari. I'm surprised they didn't release an old, you know, costume Kaminari to be an SR, but they don't really do the old costumes anymore. They kind of just do the new ones. And then we have his UR variations. This is pretty sweet looking. I love that artwork. And it's in his normal hero costume. And then we have Fantasy Kaminari. I like how he's wielding a lightning sword, like how he wanted to in the, you know, when they were training for the provisional license exam arc. And then we have Ultra Rumble. This is what he's going to look like, which is pretty cool. And also, it's surprising that he got a Ultra Rumble variation, but not Kirishima as well. But I feel like Kirishima is definitely getting an Ultra Rumble variation. But yeah, that's Kaminari. Jiro, one in OJ1, one in OJ2. Yeah, she's in her old hero costume in OJ1, like the other characters. You can tell because she doesn't have the headphones, where in OJ2 she has the headphones and stuff like that. She wasn't in the Strongest Hero, which is really surprising. They might add her, but the game really doesn't get updates anymore. So yeah, she's a support card though in the game, which is pretty interesting. So she was pretty close to becoming a character, but she didn't make it. Ultra Impact, gym, school, cooking. Then we also have her hero costumes, which actually, because of this game, I actually learned something pretty interesting. She actually has 3 different variations of her hero costume. Her first one without the headphones, her second one with the headphones, but also her markings on her face are different. So these ones are more like teardrops. And then the third variation where they're more like wide, like you can tell like there's like an actual difference. And this one I believe is based off of the joint training arc, which is pretty interesting. And this one's based off of the provisional license exam arc. So yeah, I actually learned that she had 3 different variations of her hero costume because of this. So that's pretty interesting. And then she also got a beach variation as well. You know, she's in like a floaty and then the sun. Then we have her UR variations. This is her in her most updated costume because again, you can tell because of the markings on her face. And I believe this is also based off the joint training arc. And then we also have Fantasy Jiro, which is pretty cool. And then here are her stats. Going over Ashido. She, just like Mineta, was also introduced in My Hero 1 Justice 2, so she doesn't have a My Hero 1 Justice variation. And then Strongest Hero actually got an Ashido, which is pretty cool. She was a Battle Pass character. And then we also have Ultra Impact, who, just like Mineta, also doesn't have any UR variations in the game yet. She only has SR units. Her in her normal hero costume, and I believe this one actually has the mask on the model, if I'm not mistaken. Actually, it might not. It's very hard to tell with this game. Sometimes like the artwork is like 1-to-1, and sometimes, you know, they might be missing their mask or helmet, but in the artwork she doesn't have her mask on. This one actually is in her winter costume, which is really cool. You can tell because of the jacket and also like the fluff around her neck. And then we also have a Christmas like Ashido, just like Sue, which is pretty cool. And then here are her stats. Alrighty, moving on to Aoyama. He's only appeared once in My Hero 1 Justice 2 as a DLC character, which is pretty interesting. So yeah, stats total 1. I'm very surprised he hasn't appeared more. Ojiro. He actually appeared in My Academia: The Strongest Hero. He was a Battle Pass character, and he was in his old hero costume. You can tell it's his old hero costume because he doesn't have his gloves on, which is like his tell. And then Ultra Impact, he actually appeared as a UR character. He actually appeared over Ashido and Mineta. Like, they didn't get a UR character, but Ojiro did, which is pretty interesting, but still cool. And he's in his new hero costume with the gloves and stuff like that, which is pretty sick. And then here are his stats. And then moving on, we have Sero. Ultra Impact is his only, game he's in. This is his artwork. Just like the artwork, he doesn't have his helmet on in game. And then here are his stats. Alrighty, going over Kendo. My Hero 1 Just 2. She was a DLC character, so here she is. And then Ultra Impact, she actually got 2 SR variations in her winter hero costume. You can tell it's her winter hero costume because her sleeves are longer. Then we also have Ultra Rumble. Here is what she's going to look like in the game. And it's also really cool that she's in Ultra Rumble. Some Class 1B representation is always nice. Here are her stats. Alrighty, Tetsu. My Hero 1 Just 2. He was a DLC character. Ultra Impact, he has an SR variation. And I love the artwork because of like the metal look. It looks very nice. And then here are his stats. Monoma, just like Sero, he's only in My Academia: The Ultra Impact, or The Ultra Impact, I'm getting the names mixed up. My Academia Ultra Impact, he's only appeared in that game, and yeah, here are his stats. He's an SR character in the game. Mirio, introduced in OJ2, here's his model. It's also accurate because he doesn't have his helmet on. Strongest Hero, same thing, no helmet. And then Ultra Impact, he actually got a school variation. That's his rare variation. And then we also have his SR variations. They all look pretty similar, these 3. And then we have his UR variation. This is the one at the end. And then here are his stats. Sun Eater also got introduced in OJ2. And then he actually got added into the Strongest Hero. Ultra Impact, he also got a school outfit. And then here's his SR variation and his UR variation. This one's based off of Chimera Kraken during Season 4, like the raid arc, which is pretty cool. And then here are his stats. Then we also have Hato, introduced in OJ2, and also got added into the Strongest Hero. But in Ultra Impact, she didn't get a school outfit like Mirio and Sun Eater, which is really interesting. But she got an SR variation and a UR variation, which is pretty sweet. Here are her stats. Then going over to Shinso, he was gotta go over a little bit. Going over to Shinso, he was introduced in OJ2 as a DLC character. And in Ultra Impact, he got a gym variation. Then we also have an SR variation, which is pretty cool, and a UR variation. I really like that artwork. I like the sound waves. And then here are his stats. Hatsume has only appeared in one game, which is OJ2, and she was a DLC character. Inasa has appeared in OJ1 and in OJ2, but just like Shoot Style Deku, he was a DLC character, so I feel like that's why they didn't update his model, which makes sense. And then Ultra Impact, he's actually appeared as an SR character and a UR character, so yeah, Inasa has appeared more than some of the Class 1A students, which is very interesting. Total of 4, where Aoyama had a total of 1, which is, again, very interesting. Saiji appeared in OJ2 for the first time, and then Ultra Impact, he got an SR variation, which I really like that artwork as well. Looks very nice. There are his stats. And then Kami, same thing, introduced in OJ2, and then got an SR variation in Ultra Impact. Again, total of 2. All Might has appeared in OJ1 and OJ2, and then Strongest Hero as well. And then Ultra Impact, this is where we get into some different variations of the character. Here's his SR unit, just in his normal hero costume. And then we have him in like his school outfit when he was doing that press conference, and I think this is what he wore to the USJ, and then he ripped off the jacket, if I'm not mistaken. Then we also have his fantasy outfit. That's actually an SR unit. Moving over to his UR units, he actually got 2 different UR variations of him in his hero costume. This one you can actually buy in the VE shop, so you don't have to summon for this character, so that's pretty neat. And then we also have his Silver Age costume. You can tell it's a Silver Age costume because of the markings on the outfit, but also the cape. which is really sweet that they added a Silver Age All Might into My Academia game. Then we also have his Ultra Rumble variation, just in his hero costume, and then here are his stats. Going down to Eraserhead, OJ1, OJ2, one variation, Strongest Hero, one variation. He was also a event character as well. When the game first gets loaded up, I believe you get an event where you can actually earn Eraserhead in the game, which is pretty cool. But it's pretty difficult. Ultra Impact, he's gotten multiple SR variations, these two in his hero costumes, which is pretty cool. And then we also have one where his hair's up, and the actual model of the character in game has his hair up as well, which is pretty sweet. So it's nice to get a different variation of Eraserhead. Then we also have his UR variations. He also got two UR variations in his hero costume. Again, I don't really know why they did that, but it doesn't hurt to have more Eraserheads, which is pretty nice. Then we also have Fantasy Eraserhead, which is really sweet looking. I love like the outfit. It looks very cool. And then here are his stats. Alrighty, Present Mike introduced into OJ2 as a DLC character, and then Ultra Impact has an SR variation, and then two UR variations, one in like just his normal like just battle tactic yell state, like he's just yelling with his quirk, but then this one has DJ Punch, which is from season 6, which is pretty cool. And then here are his stats. Alrighty, Midnight, going over her different variations. OJ2, she was introduced as a DLC character, but as you can tell, they censored her, you know, if you look very closely at her midsection. And then Ultra Impact, she got released as a UR character, which is pretty sweet, so she has appeared 2 times, which is very cool. Going down to Cementos, he will be in Ultra Rumble, and that's his only appearance, so yeah. Endeavor, OJ1 and OJ2 have him in his old hero costume. They weren't out by the time his new hero costume came out, so it's very interesting. Every single time I play that game, I keep forgetting that he's in his old hero costume, not in his new one. You can tell it's his old one because he doesn't have his armor and no scar, but yeah, also the belt's different. Also the pattern's different. I'm actually just looking at this now. And I believe the gauntlets are different too. Yeah, his whole hero costume is just different. So, yeah. Also, he doesn't have the laces. So, yeah, just his whole hero costume. And the pants are different. Alright, I'm just going to move on. You get the idea. Strongest Hero. He also has his old hero costume. Pretty cool. Ultra Impact actually had an SR variation of his old hero costume, but then they just moved right into his new hero costume. These are all SR variations of his new hero costume. And then his UR variations have his new hero costume as well. This one is just like a standard Endeavor, and then this one is him using Hell Spider, which is pretty cool. Here are his stats. Gran Torino, 1 in OJ1, 1 in OJ2. Nothing in Strongest Hero, but just like Jiro, in the Strongest Hero, he was a support card, so he was very close to getting a character in my mind because, you know, they programmed some moves into him and a model, so yeah. Ultra Impact, he has no UR variation yet, just SR characters. These two are just him in his normal hero costume. This one is him battle damage, you can tell because of like the tears in his costume and stuff like that. And I believe this is also based off of season 6. Here are his stats. Sir Night-Eye appeared in OJ2 and in Ultra Impact as an SR character with some sick artwork. I love that artwork with like the film reels going around him. That's really cool. And then here are his stats. Same goes with Fat Gum, introduced in OJ2, and then in Ultra Impact, but no UR variation, just an SR variation. And here are his stats. Also, OJ2 has a different model of him as well, where he can go into Slim Gum, which is pretty cool. Hawks appeared into OJ2 as a DLC character, and then into Strongest Hero as an S tier character. Then we also have Ultra Impact. He has 2 SR variations, which is pretty sweet. And then 2 UR variations of him just in his normal hero costume. And then we also have him in his like battle damage look when he was fighting Twice and Dabi, which is pretty cool from season 6. I think that's my favorite variation of Hawks just because it's like the most different. And then here is his stats. Going over to Gang Orca, only has appeared in OJ2, which is pretty sweet. Mountain Lady, she's appeared in Ultra Impact first, and then Ultra Rumble. That's what she's going to look like in game. Here are her stats. And then Best Genus has only appeared in Ultra Impact as an SR character and a UR character. and the costumes are actually different. Him in his normal hero costume, and then this one I believe is based off of the raid arc with All For One when they were rescuing Bakugo, which is pretty sweet. And then here are her stats. And then also this is a climax battle character, so you can actually earn this character by beating him in a climax battle, which is pretty sweet. Mirko has only appeared in Ultra Impact so far, but I feel like she's going to appear in other My Academia games later down the line because she became very popular in Season 6. Here are her stats. Shigaraki has appeared in OJ1. He only had one variation in the game, but in OJ2 he actually had two variations. Him in his old costume, and then him in his like second costume with the coat and stuff like that, which is pretty sweet. And then Strongest Hero has him in his old costume. And then we also have Ultra Impact. He has an SR unit in his old costume, and then an SR unit of like Awakened Shigaraki, which is pretty cool. I really like that artwork, but it's really surprising that they made him an SR unit and not a UR unit, which is really interesting. Going over to his UR units, we actually have him in his old villain costume, and then him in his like second villain costume with like the coat and stuff like that, which is pretty sweet looking. And then in Ultra Rumble, he will be in his second villain costume with the coat. Not really up to date as of yet, but I feel like they'll add, you know, costumes to make it up to date, or maybe even another variation of Shigaraki, which could be pretty interesting. Here are his stats. Going over to Kurogiri, he has appeared in OJ2 as a DLC character, and then in Ultra Impact he is an SR character as well, which is, you know, it's cool to see Kurogiri. He's not really a character that we've seen too much of, but it's pretty sweet that we got two variations of him. Going over to Stain, he has appeared once in OJ1, once in OJ2, once in The Strongest Hero, once in Ultra Impact as an SR character, but he sadly isn't in Ultra Rumble, or at least not yet. I feel like they might add him. But yeah, if he does appear in Ultra Rumble, I believe he will be the first character. Wait, no, never mind. What am I talking about? Well, I guess if he appears in Ultra Rumble, technically he would be the first character to only have one variation in each game. I was going to say once in each game, but obviously Deku has appeared in every game, so yeah, but he would technically be the first character to have one in each game, which would be pretty interesting, so yeah. Going over to Dabi, once in OJ1 and then once in OJ2, but in OJ1 he was in his old villain costume, and then in OJ2 he's in his more like updated second villain costume. You can tell because of the coat being longer, where in this one, you know, the coat's very short. And then Strongest Hero had him in his old villain costume, you know, again, no long coat. Let's go into Ultra Impact. SR Dabi. These three are SR Dabis. Again, they're all in his like second villain costume with like the long coat. This one I believe is based off of Season 6 when he was fighting Hawks, so that's pretty sweet looking. Then we also have his UR variations. Normal, or I guess second costume Dabi. Again, you can tell the coat. But then we also have his like updated, most like recent look, Toya Todoroki. That is amazing artwork. I think that's super sweet, and I hope we get to see more Toya Todoroki in other Macadamia games. Then we also have his Ultra Rumble variation, which is his second villain costume with the long coat. And then here are his stats. Toga, 1 in OJ1, 1 in OJ2. Not in The Strongest Hero, surprisingly, but again, just like the other characters, she had a support card, so she was very close. Then we also have an SR Toga, and then we have her UR variations, her normal like villain look, and then also her winter villain look. You can tell because of the jacket, which is really cool. I believe this is the first winter Toga, so that's pretty sweet. Then we also have her in her Ultra Rumble look, just in her normal villain costume. And yeah, these are her stats. Going down to Muscular, has appeared in OJ1 and OJ2. He also appeared in Ultra Impact, which is pretty cool. He's an SR character in that game. Here are his stats. Alrighty, going over to Twice. He was introduced in OJ2, so he doesn't have an OJ1 model. And then going over to his Ultra Impact looks, he has two SR variations. I believe even though this mask is torn in this artwork, he actually has the mask on the model, if I remember correctly. But let me know in the comments below if I've actually made any mistakes with these model to artwork comparisons, but I'm pretty sure that this artwork has no mask, but the model actually has a mask. And then we have his UR variation where he's performing Sad Man's Parade, which is really cool. And here are his stats. Going down to Mr. Compress, just like twice introduced in OJ2. But then in Ultra Impact, we have his SR variation, which is in his like, you know, I guess his first villain costume, but it's also not really because he just needs to put the trench coat on and then that's how he gets this look. But I really like that. I wish they included his trench coat more in his like looks. But they tend to go with the just this variation without the trench coat. But it's still really cool when they include the trench coat because I think it makes him look really cool. Then we have his UR variation where it's based on his like battle damage look in Season 6 when he was helping the League escape. And then we also have his Ultra Rumble look, which again goes back to his just like look without the trench coat, which again I hope they add the trench coat as a variation because I think that'd be really cool. Or I guess not variation, as a costume that you can put on Mr. Compress. Here are his stats. And then going over to All For One, appeared in OJ1 and OJ2. If I remember correctly, you unlock All For One in OJ1 if you beat the villain side of the story mode. So that was a pretty unique way of unlocking him. Or I believe if you pre-ordered the game, you just got him off the rip. So yeah. Also, I think that's how you get Infinite 100% Deku as well in OJ2 if you beat the hero side of OJ2's campaign or if you pre-ordered the game. I'm not 100% sure. I think that's how you unlock that character, but yeah. Going over to Ultra Impact, he has 2 UR variations. Him in his like full like villain costume, and then this one actually is accurate. It's battle damage, so like his mask is like completely like broken and stuff like that, which is pretty sweet. And then this is also a climax battle, so if you beat him, you get him for free if you just beat that climax battle boss. There are the stats. Overhaul. OJ2, he actually had 2 different variations, him in his like normal like look and then him in his like fused look with I forget what the character's name is, but he's the one who has the confession quirk. So yeah, and also I believe just like Infinite 100% Deku, if I'm correct, you will unlock this character by completing the villain side of the campaign. And also if you pre-ordered the game, if I remember correctly, I think that's how you unlock Infinite 100% Deku and Overhaul fused version, if I'm not mistaken. In Ultra Impact, he has 1 variation. It's a UR character, and that's his artwork. And then there are his stats. Rappa has appeared only once in OJ2, which is really cool. And yep, there are his stats. Gentle Criminal appeared in OJ2 as a DLC character, and just like the model here, he actually has La Brava, you know, in game, but she doesn't really do anything. She just follows him around. And then just like OJ2, in Ultra Impact, he actually has La Brava standing right next to him, but again, she doesn't do anything. She's just there as like, you know, like a little additional thing. And I really like this artwork as well. And again, just like All For One and Best Jeanist, Gentle Criminal, this one at least is a climax battle. So if you beat him, you actually get this unit for free, which is really cool. Here are his stats. Nomu has only appeared once in OJ2. As a pre-order DLC, if I remember correctly. So just like Shoot Style in OJ1, he is a pre-order DLC in OJ2. And I could not find his model, like, online. Like, it's so weird. Like, Nomu feels like such an incomplete character in OJ2. He doesn't have a Plus Ultra 2 animation in the game, unlike every other character. So, I don't know. He just feels really incomplete. Very interesting. Here are his stats. He appeared once. So, yeah. Redestro. He has appeared once in Ultra Impact, but not yet officially on the global side. Like, he's in the game globally, but he's not officially released yet. He's only still in the Japan version, if that makes any sense, but I feel like I should include him because he's going to get added later down the line, most likely through case files, just like Sir Night-Eye. But yeah, that's what he looks like, and this is how his model looks like in game. He's like halfway between his like full-on stress form and his like normal look. He's like, you know, half and half. There are stats. Gen has appeared once in Ultra Impact. Yep, there are stats. Also, he's an SR variation, and Redestro is an SR variation as well. Lady Nagant, Ultra Impact, she's a UR character. She was just recently released. So, yep. And then there are her stats. And then the last character who has just been released, Fleckturn, an SR character in the latest event, which is really cool. And I believe he is the first, like, movie villain that has ever been released. Let me think. Yes, because Wolfram hasn't been released, or any of his underlings. Nine, Mummy, Slice, or Chimera have been released. And, yeah, Fleckturn is the first, because none of his underlings have been released yet either. So, yeah, our first movie villain. So hopefully that means we can see like Nine and like Wolfram and stuff like that get introduced later down the line in Macadamia games. But it's cool that we got a movie villain character. And this is how he looks in game, like he's in his like red robe with like the mirrors around him, which is really cool. And there are his stats. And that is every single character that has ever appeared in the Macadamia games so far and their variations. As you can tell, there are a lot of different characters and a lot of different variations of those characters in the Macadamia games, and it's really interesting how they're spread out. Like, for example, you would think there would be way more Bakugos, but there are more Urarakas, which is very interesting. So Bakugo has appeared a total of 15 times, where Uraraka has appeared a total of 16 times. So that's what I'm talking about. Like, that's just really interesting to me. Like, I feel like I would have thought that Bakugo would have appeared more than Uraraka, but hey, that's really cool. Like, that's just something you learned today if you didn't know that. So yeah, that is every single character and their variations from every Macadamia game that's been out globally. I hope you guys thought this was pretty interesting, because honestly, I thought this was pretty interesting, getting to see all the characters in like one place. And I'm sure, you know, this list will get updated as time goes on with like Ultra Impact, and then, you know, with the introduction of Ultra Rumble coming out soon. So yeah, I'll probably continue updating this list, and maybe I might make an update later down the line, like an updated video of this. But this is how it is as of right now. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, please like and subscribe. That'd be really amazing. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys next time. Later.